I want to preface today's video by first off stating that we finally accomplished a goal. This channel has been around, I think at this point, 3 years, but I say that without really knowing quite exactly how many times over the course of like how much time I've worked, because there's been 6 months to a year of time sometimes on this channel where I basically haven't uploaded at all. But the first upload on this channel was 3 years ago. It was, let's check the date on this. It was December 12th of 2021. And all the way up until now, we made it. We are officially at 1,000 subscribers. It took 416 videos. I guarantee the first 200 or so of those videos probably were less than 100 subscribers. And then, I kind of found a niche that worked for me and put more time into YouTube Shorts as well. And here we are today, 1,000 subscribers. And if you're watching this and you've been here since the beginning, or have been here since the low hundreds, or have been here since the 900s, it doesn't matter. You are a part of hopefully the start of many more. And I really appreciate you guys for supporting me and showing me that my videos are enjoyable. Even the people who say terrible things in the comments about me, hey, you still watched? You still watched? So I don't think I really care. I'm actually completely fine with it at the end of the day because you chose to watch anyway. So thank you again for 1,000 subscribers. I know that's not why you clicked on this video, was to hear me say this, but I did want to make sure I specified that. So I got a suggestion to do a new series, and I actually just opened Discord to check because I wanted to give credit to who made the suggestion, and for whatever reason Discord isn't showing me their username, so thank you for suggesting the most average Pokemon. The most average. We did the best. We did the worst. We did the ugliest. We did the most underrated. How about we just talk about the ones in the middle of the road? How about we just talk about the Pokemon that people really don't even think about because it's just kind of there. But you know what? We're going to make sure we get every category out of this possible. So now with the rant over, it's time to start the video. What are the most average, normal type Pokemon of each generation? And for Generation 1... let's take a look here. Honestly, my first thought is Dodrio. And I say Dodrio because this thing's actually very fast. Its issue is that it's very fragile, and encountering it in the game in the Safari Zone when you get it, it's just too late to really add it. It's not very good against pretty much anything coming up, with there being a lot of rock, a lot of fighting types coming up. Most of the Elite Four, you can't do anything because there's a ghost in there as well, and it's just, it's not fun to be a Dodrio. But I love Tri-Attack, and I do think this thing is a lot faster than people give it credit for. But I wouldn't put it as good or bad. I'd really put it right in the middle. For Gen 2, it's definitely going to be Noctowl. What I like about Noctowl, even though Nintendo fumbled the bag adding Dark-type in this generation and then not giving it to one of its most iconic Pokemon, it still gets some Dark moves, at least, which is nice. It gets some Ghost moves. It's a Hypnosis user. I think the concept of an Owl Pokemon was just fumbled in the fact that it wasn't a Dark-type. But otherwise, this Pokemon is pretty much just average. It lacks a lot, but it also gives a lot. And that's really going to be the definition of most of this quiz. Gen 3. If we're really going to talk about a Pokemon that's just straight up average, it's Linoone. The thing with Linoone is that it learns a couple of water moves as well. Like, it gets the Surf TM, it gets the Dive TM as well, I believe. That's really nice about it. It does get Headbutt, it gets Double Edge, it gets all the strong normal type moves. It just statistically is not quite what it needs to be. And that's the biggest problem with this Pokemon. Statistically, it just isn't good enough. But it also has the moveset to help out. Now for Gen 4, the answer is Purugly. The one thing Purugly has going for it is the fact that it's incredibly bulky. This guy, no matter what, will never be able to provide any offensive power for you. If you throw this thing in and hit double edge, you're not doing more than 20% health to any Pokemon of equal level. Period. You're just not. But this thing will take a hit so long as you switch it into the right thing. And I think it also gets amnesia, so you can add some special defense to it as well. Really, really solid. No complaints. And I think this thing might get a rollout defense curl combo as well. If it does, that does help a little bit, but you are locked into rollout, which is scary, so you have to be careful with that risk. For Gen 5, though, yeah, I mean, there's no Pokemon that I think of when I see average other than Bouffalante. They basically took Tauros. They said, do you want an afro? And then they threw this out here. Like, that's it. That's what they did. And considering the concept that they've added as of late, where there are Pokemon that have, like, regional variant forms like Toedscruel and stuff like that, I'm surprised that they don't just go back and fix Bouffalante into being a regional variant Tauros. Like, don't change the name, but write it into the lore of the Pokemon. Because that, I think, basically summarizes that that is what it is. Considering rather than calling things a certain form of something, they instead just, like, create a new Pokemon altogether. And it's like, oh, it's a past version, it's a future version, it's an adapted to its environment version. You know, like that is kind of what they've done as of late. Gen 6... there's not a lot of options here. It's Heliolisk. Heliolisk is just kind of that electric type that's there and everybody forgets about. And it is what it is. I do like it. It's just everything else in Gen 6 is really strong or really weak. So you kind of just have this guy as very average in the middle. Gen 7, it's... I don't know where I want to go with this. It's Gumshoos. It is. I mean, this is another example just like Lanoon, where this thing gets a lot of utility moves. He learns a lot of TMs and HMs. He just, unfortunately, doesn't do much else. It's just a straight-up average Pokemon. There's nothing more to it, unfortunately. That's just all that it's capable of. Generation 8. Generation 8. Generation 8. It's, I mean, yeah, it's Greedent. I mean, I could put, look at all the second form, the regional rodents I got in here. We have this one, we have this one, we have this one. I mean, that's really what this list is. I think Greedent's actually really bulky, and he's a stockpile user. I don't think you can really complain. This thing can do more than you think it can. It's not the worst. I would say that the worst is probably Indeedee. So, you know what, Greedent? Congratulations, you're on the list, buddy. And if I put you in my worst list, then I change my mind, obviously, between then and now, because it's been probably 2 years since that video. Something like that. And, of course, we have Gen 9. And the Gen 9 answer is a Pokemon a lot of people hate, but I actually think is better than you think, is Grafaiai. Grafaiai is not as bad as you think it is. Grafaiai is straight up not as bad as you think it is. It just isn't. It just isn't. What is the most average, though? It's actually, what do I think? I mean, Dodrio's the best Pokemon on this list, but if we're talking about from an average standpoint, the most average of the averages, the most average of all the averages, I actually think it's Lanoon. Yeah, I do. I think it's Lanoon. I think Lanoon, because of its moveset, really helps. It's just that statistically, it doesn't do much else, is part of the problem. So that is my list. If you've been on this channel before, you know for a fact we're going to do every single type. We're going to release either every day or every other day. Probably every other day is the plan. And I am really, really excited to get this out. Let's see how many subscribers we end up with when it's complete, because I have been told that once you get 1,000, YouTube promotes your channel differently. So let's see if that happens. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys for the next one.